Welcome to Chronic Conversations, the podcast that brings a voice to the stories behind chronic symptoms. I'm your host, Katherine Rose, certified integrative health practitioner, founder of ThriveWell, and soon to be published author. After years of battling unexplained symptoms and finally getting a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, I turned my pain into purpose. Now I help women just like you feel seen, heard, and validated while uncovering the root causes of symptoms and helping to create lasting wellness. Each week, I'll share insights from my own journey, some proven strategies that I use with clients, and conversations with fellow experts and warriors. You're not alone, and you can thrive. Now let's get into today's conversation. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Chronic Conversations. Today, I am joined by someone who brings both grace and strategy to the chaos of motherhood. And I just know that you're going to love her. She is so fun. Heather Brown is the creator behind Healthy by Heather Brown, where she shares faith-filled lifestyle tips, wellness tools, and relatable encouragement for busy moms that are trying to keep it all together like we all are, right? And Heather and I actually met in Tennessee at a mastermind event hosted by Dr. Axe. And I was instantly drawn to her energy, her heart, and how she helps women create rhythms in their lives. So, in this episode, we're diving into one of her signature tools. She calls it her Sunday reset. And whether you're a mom juggling a million things, or if you're someone that's navigating chronic illness, low energy, or just that stuck feeling, I feel like Heather's approach to resetting your week with intention and not pressure is really like a breath of fresh air. So with that, I will stop with the introduction and let's get into it. I really want to talk about the Sunday reset, and I know that you have your version and it's great, but also reading, it's kind of like, you know, what's yours? You ask readers and followers or whatever what theirs is. I always like having a roadmap to follow and not having to come up with my own.
Yeah.
But one of the main things I'm most excited about is, as a woman with chronic illness, and a lot of listeners and followers have chronic illness or autoimmune mystery symptoms, I like to say, or just don't feel good.
Yeah.
And being a mom on top of that, and waking up, like the alarm goes off on Monday, and like the dread can flood the body sometimes. And I'm just excited or for you to provide some tips and things like that to help us make our weeks easier and have less dread. And not that we're always dreading the weeks, but when you don't feel good, it's hard to feel joy
Yeah. For
sometimes.
sure. For sure. Yes.
So, but first, before we dive into that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how Healthy by Heather Brown came about, and why and how, the Sunday reset came about?
Yeah, for sure. And you just interrupt me if there's anything you want me to elaborate on or what
I
have you.
will.
Perfect. So yes, hey y'all, I'm Heather Brown and I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, which is where my accent is from. I'm so grateful that I met Katherine and we got to connect in Nashville. And I know that she gave y'all a little bit of that background, but just I guess so you know who I am as a person. I'm a believer. I love the Lord. I came to know him at a very young age. I'm super grateful for that. I always joke that I was the girl who invited Christ into her heart 100 million times because I was so
No.
scared that I didn't mean it or I didn't know what I meant because I was so young. And so,
How old were you?
I was 4, almost 5.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
And I asked my mom, like, can you pray with me? Like, I want Jesus to come into my heart. But then I went to a Christian private school. And so every Wednesday at chapel, when they'd have like, the altar call or the hellfire and brimstone speech or whatever it was, I was like, oh my gosh, what if I didn't know? What if I didn't mean it? Oh my gosh, Lord, please save me. But as the Lord will so often do, he was so sweet to let me actually lead my little boy to come to know the Lord on his sixth birthday. And so it
Oh,
was just incredible, Catherine, because we were sitting in the carpool line to pick up his older brother. And we were talking about his grandmother who had just passed away not that long ago. And so he was asking me all these, hard life and death
yes.
questions.
Yes.
And as we were talking about it, he was like, well, I want to go to heaven and, be with Dee Dee and, be with you and Daddy and Leighton. And I was like,
No.
oh, buddy, I'm so excited to hear that. Do you want me to pray with you to invite Jesus into your heart? And he said, no, mommy, I do it. I was like, oh,
Okay.
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 So anyway, I just was like, Lord, that is so kind that you let me see that
Uh,
he has the capability to understand at this young age. And I
mhm.
know that the Lord will continue to sanctify and grow that relationship. And so I'm just really excited to watch it. But
Oh, that gives me goosebumps. Sorry, I interrupted
super
you.
sweet. Super sweet. So
Seriously.
anyway, I've been married to my college sweetheart now for 16 years.
No.
I have Leighton and Finn. They are 9 and 6. They are a hoot and a half. I love them so much. I have been blogging slash social media lifing for about 15 years now, which is really wild to say out loud.
Yeah.
My degree was in journalism and mass communications. I've always loved like marketing. I had a sociology minor. I always thought it was so interesting to see what made people tick. And so the Lord just grew and blessed the website and then the Pinterest and then the
No.
Instagram and then all the things. And now I've been doing it full time for probably about 9 years and I love it so much.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What brought about like the blogging and like how is that was that like originally just an outlet or what?
Mm. Long story short, my husband was a accountant and hated his life and was literally depressed and traveled all the time. And so he went back to school to become a nurse practitioner. And when he did that, we had to live on my little marketing salary alone.
Yeah.
And so we literally lived on $40 a week in groceries for the two of us. And I mean, obviously now that equivalent would probably be like more like $75 a week or something like that. But
Yeah.
I was just couponing and deal seeking and figuring out how to cut corners every way that I can in our budget. And my girlfriends kept being like, why didn't you post this? Or why didn't you tell us we could get a dress for $7? Or
Yeah.
why didn't you tell us we could get that BOGO at Publix or whatever? And so one of my girlfriends literally started my blog for me. And she was like, please post your deals on here. And then if people say to you, well, why didn't you tell me I could have gotten razors for getting paid $2 at CVS? Then you can say, well, I posted on the blog. And that's how it started. Isn't that wild?
That's awesome.
Really wild. So
So good.
so I've had many brand changes and all those kind of things since then. Healthy by Heather Brown is only about, I don't know, 2 years old at this point. But I've been very, very excited to get to change because I think it's so cool to get to marry my care for spiritual health and really like encouraging people to find the hope and the joy when we don't feel joyful, like we were talking about, Catherine.
Yep.
But then to know that even if you go to church every time the doors are open, and even if like are plugged into the word and all these things, but you never ever move your body, that's probably not too good for you. And then the opposite is true. Like if you're in the gym every day killing it and you're eating perfect and you're doing all the things and checking the boxes, but you don't have a relationship with the Lord or somebody, and even if you're not a Christian, like having that deeper valued purpose outside of yourself, I think that's not too good for you either. So I really,
Sure.
really love to encourage women to have that whole health picture. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how the Sunday reset actually started.
Well, great. That's awesome. That was
Yeah.
that was great description and way to get back there.
Yeah, for sure. So now you're like, okay, so what is a Sunday reset? So, okay,
Yes.
I'm going to
Yeah.
start from the beginning. How about like you tell me how in depth to go because my personality is to get really tactical and be like, okay, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna get out our calendars, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I had a fourth degree tear with Leighton when he was born, my oldest, and that led to postpartum depression. And I literally had in my mind, like I'm the Energizer Bunny and I can do anything. And I had this blog and this website, and I was working a full-time marketing job. And then I taught Pure Barre, which is a ballet bar based workout class. And so
Yep.
I think in my
Oh, you
striving,
taught it.
yeah, girl, loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So fun.
girl. Okay.
And I think that in all my like striving and doing and achieving, I kind of had just forgotten what it looked like to just rely on the Lord. And so he literally took me back to baseline, like, okay, well, then I'm going to sit your butt down on the couch
That's
and
right.
you're not allowed to walk past your mailbox for 6 weeks, or else you might literally rip your hoo-ha wide open.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, Lord, here we
I'm
are.
here. I'm listening. Right? Oh,
So that was really painful in all the ways. I told Catherine this before, but I literally was crying every day, multiple times a day, was a broken shell of a human, didn't recognize myself. As moms, we get this. I'm bleeding from my boobs, I'm bleeding from my crotch. I mean, I'm like
it wasn't funny
crying.
then, but you can laugh now at least.
Yes, I can laugh now. Yes, exactly. Then I just cried about it all the time, but it's okay. So,
Fine. Yeah.
all that to say, I kind of just started to, so then my doctor actually diagnosed me with PPD. I ended up having to get on a medication to help with it. Really long, convoluted story. Coming back to center, I was like, okay, how do I start to feel like me again?
Yeah.
And one of the first things that I felt like I could do was, even though I couldn't open God's word and read it, I was like, I can listen to worship music.
Yeah.
And so even as I was sitting there on the couch, I was like, Alexa, play Elevation Worship Radio. And so that
Yes.
was like the first way I started to get God's word like back
Hmm.
in and around me. And then I was like, okay, what's another thing that I can like quote unquote do to like feel like I'm contributing, helping, what have you. And that was coming back to meal planning for me, because I wrote meal plans for years with emails.com. I helped them out with their blog, their social media, and meal planning. And meal planning really is kind of the cornerstone now of my Sunday reset.
Yeah.
And I'll explain more about that later. But honestly, Catherine, I feel like taking care of Leighton and my husband's support, meal planning, and just getting God's word around me literally saved my life,
Mm.
because I was just lost and like this
Yeah.
hopeless feeling of I'm never going to feel like me again. And I
Yes.
think that so many of your listeners are probably going to relate to that, because that might be where they feel like they are right now. And so I just want to encourage you that if you're listening to this and that's how you feel, that like you have a redeemer and you have a friend in the Lord, and that he will redeem and will heal your broken situation. And while it may not look like what you think it will, because mine certainly didn't, and there was lots
Sure.
of, crazy things that has happened since then, he's redeeming it. And I honestly, Catherine, sometimes think I wish that I felt as close to the Lord as I did during those darkest moments, because his presence is so real and imminent when we allow him in and we're willing to just sit with him and weep in the brokenness.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah, all that to say, so then sometimes when I was listening to that worship music, I literally would just be like weeping, like, Lord, I don't even know what to do with myself, but here I am. I love you. I'm singing, I'm praising, but I don't feel it though. Like I don't know what to do with this yet. And so all that to say, one of the things that I started doing also was the meal plan. I said, I couldn't move my body yet, but I could listen to the worship music. And then I was like, you know what? We have these amazing people that are bringing us meals a few times a week on this meal train for us just having a baby. So I started texting those friends and saying, hey, I see that you're bringing me dinner on Monday night. Is there any way that you would be willing to come over like an hour early and just sit and have coffee with me? Or
Mhm.
would you be willing to come and just like, be with me? And I feel like that has become part of the Sunday reset also, because I realized that I'm such a people person. That's what I need,
Yes.
is that community. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, so ultimately, you guys, what the Sunday reset is I call it my it's just like the tool that I use to make sure that I'm living a life well loved, a life to the fullest, a healthy life. And that healthy life to me is my triple threat triangle. It means that I'm healthy emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, like relationally, all the ways that I can
Yeah.
be. And so when I sit down to do the Sunday reset, it's ultimately being like, okay, let me get out my calendar, let me get out Eric's work calendar, my husband, let me get out the kids' school calendars and just seeing like what all are we looking at here? What's going on? So that's like step one, calendars are out. Step number two is I'm now seeing, okay, what are the craziest nights this week? And how is my meal plan going to reflect that? So
Hmm.
it might be that I'm like, okay, on Monday night, we've got soccer until 7 o'clock. So that means the crock pot meal. Or I feel like people hear the word meal plan and they just cringe, Catherine.
Well, oh, like cue overwhelm and intimidation.
Yes, yes,
I mean, I
all
know the
that.
importance of them, but a lot of times I'm yeah, like the last minute kind of thing, but don't want it to be unhealthy.
Yes.
So I'm one of those, even though, I try my best to meal plan, but I mean, cue overwhelm for me. So
Yeah.
sorry, continue.
For sure. Yes. So ask me questions as I'm talking about meal planning if you have them. I love talking about meal planning. So for me, it just means not getting overwhelmed, not getting paralyzed, and realizing that meal planning can literally mean writing down we're having Chick-fil-A on Tuesday night or we're
Right.
having leftovers on Wednesday night. It doesn't have to mean that you're like, well, I'm going to make these elaborate Pinterest meals that are 40 ingredients long and the best thing ever for my family. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. It doesn't
No.
have to be so detailed.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I'll give you a perfect example. So in general, I know that every week my goal is that we're gonna cook 3 nights, and then
Mhm.
that way we're either gonna and Sunday night is always clean out the fridge night. So it's kind of like everybody can eat whatever they want to. If you find something in the freezer you want, the pantry or the fridge, but that way we're not wasting, and also it's taking the pressure off of me and Eric. So it's clean out the fridge night. We usually do breakfast for dinner one night just because it's super easy. And if
Sure.
I want to do, super clean, healthy, whatever, then I may be eating like bacon, eggs, and fruit while the boys can have, waffles or whatever that's easy that they want. And then we do typically do some kind of crock pot meal. So it might be
Yep.
like chicken with salsa over it, cooked, a
That's one of my
ton of different
favorites,
ways.
easiest to do. It's like
Easy, so
dump it
easy.
in. And
Yes, dump and done.
as long as you get it in time, like get it all in time. Yeah.
I have had to start setting alarms on my phone because that has happened to
Yes.
me too many times. It's bad.
Yes. That's such a good idea.
Yes. But anyway, so
I set it
then
for supplements.
oh, smart. Yeah, I love that.
Otherwise, I won't.
Yes.
Yeah.
You won't do it. I
Hmm.
get that for
Hmm.
sure.
Yep.
Well, are you
I'll
are you
forget.
taking them all throughout the day or do you take them at one
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on a parasite protocol that I like do every year, but if I, yes, that's throughout the day. So if I don't, I'll forget it. You know.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm like, I would love to talk about the parasite cleanse later.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Mhm.
Put a footnote on that.
It's
But
fun.
I know. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm like, I'm gonna get too distracted by myself now, thinking about the parasite cleanse. But rein it in. So all that to say, so then I think that a big part of why you meal plan is not only because it helps you save money, but it also helps your brain not just be like, what is happening and paralyzed at 5 p.m. about what's for dinner, and
Oh
really
yeah.
just simplifying. Like my big thing is that I like to marry our schedule with the meal plan. And also, I typically try to shop from my fridge, freezer, and pantry first. So, like, if we have
Oh, that's so
steaks,
good.
then I'm
Yes.
pulling out the steaks to thaw on that Sunday night for Tuesday night for Eric to grill them out or what have you.
Hmm.
And I'm very grateful. And hopefully, some of your listeners will have this opportunity as well. My husband loves to grill. So I'll be like, great, grill like 4 different kinds of meat for the week. And then that's like, ah, and we're
Hmm.
done. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
great. And like or crock pot chicken or just like plain chicken or whatever, you can shred it and use it in different things throughout
yes.
the week.
And we do typically on Sunday night also do either we're making rice in bulk or maybe it's spaghetti in bulk or a quinoa in bulk, something to have on hand
Hmm.
that week to just dole out. But yeah, meal planning, totally the cornerstone. It helps us save money. Like I said, it helps me know what we're eating. It helps me plan for my macros if you're a macro counter. And also, it's just like one less thing to have to think about day to day. So that's
Yeah.
the first step to me of the Sunday reset is my meal plan, people schedules.
For me, in the past, when I've tried to do this and meal plan, grocery shop, and prep in the same day, it like wears me down. Do you, even though you're cooking like 3 meals a week or something like that, I think you said,
Hmm.
do you do all of those things in one day, or maybe you put in your grocery order and go pick it up so you don't have to like what's that process?
For me, I do. I'm such a weirdo. I love to go in the store.
Well, I do too. It's like one
Okay,
of my favorite
okay.
places to go.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So,
you and me are odd birds, let me
I
tell you.
know. I know. Nobody does.
Yes, but some people that I talk to about their Sunday reset, they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I just order my groceries on Sunday to get them on Monday or what have you. So you do what works
Oh,
for
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
obviously. But for me, it's that I love to do all that on Sunday. And while I may not actually like cook, I don't
Yeah.
cook every Sunday, but if I'd have time and I can cook the rice or Eric wants to grill on Sunday night for the week,
Yeah.
I'm like, great. Knock yourself out. Great.
Sure.
But yeah, it can be overwhelming to do it all at once. But I think at this point in the game, we've been doing it for so many years that I'm just like, okay, it's breakfast for dinner, it's the grilled meat, and it's either salsa chicken or crock pot roast beef. Like, that's pretty much what we're having. You know what I mean?
That's good. Yeah.
So, yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes we'll mix it up, but I would say it's rare because it's only like if something crazy is different on sale or if
Yeah.
it's like Eric's just been craving spaghetti, which we don't have all the time, then I'm like, okay, great, let's throw it in there. But to us, it's so much easier just to simplify and know, like, okay,
Yes.
this is the plan. This is what we're doing.
Right. Well, that's good. Will your kids eat just about everything that y'all will, like the crock pot salsa chicken? And
I wish.
I
I
mean,
wish they would.
sometimes mine will. There's one that definitely won't eat anything but like peanut butter and jelly. But yeah. So I was just curious.
So I actually kind of have a long convoluted story with this, but I can send you a link to I have a meal planning ebook, Catherine, but then I also have a meal planning ebook for picky eaters specifically.
Mm.
And I talk a lot about my oldest, on top of all the PPD and all the other things that I dealt with during that time. He also decided to fall off the growth chart, which meant we had to
Yeah.
go to feeding therapy because he was
Yeah.
so picky. So I
Yeah.
have had to learn a lot of things the hard way. But we got there, and now I like share all those dietitian tips and stuff about how to get your kids to eat more foods and stuff.
Yeah.
But all that to say, they are required to do a no thank you bite of whatever it is that we're having. And
Hmm.
then they can eat whatever else, like you said, peanut butter and jelly or, chicken nuggets or but the youngest one will eat pretty much anything. He's like, "Oh, we're having, roast beef, great. Soup, awesome.
Serve
I
it up.
love it." The older one's like, oh, he just looks at it like, I know I gotta do it. No, thank you, bite.
Oh, well, that's good. And it's good you're consistent with that.
Well, and Catherine, hopefully this encourages women that if they're hearing this, he now eats so much more than he did
Good.
because you just stick with it, So it's like it'll come eventually,
Right.
hopefully. Good Lord
Good.
willing, and the creek don't rise.
Good encouragement.
Yes.
I'll be
So
quiet.
then, let's see, we got our meal plan in place, we've got our schedules in place. And the big thing to me about that is that inevitably, if I didn't look at all the schedules, it would be like, okay, well, I made the grocery list, I went to the grocery store, and now I get back home. And then I'm like, oh, it's bring an apple day to preschool. And now I've already been in the grocery store and I'm going back. So
Yes. No,
that's
that's
why the
so.
schedule
Hmm.
is just like ride or die. You know what I mean?
What seems so simple and so obvious, but I just my brain doesn't work that way. So I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes. Agree. And
Mhm.
then the next thing is, I would say I'm really this is something that the Lord is actively working on me right now is trying to figure out how to make Sabbath a thing so what that's looking like for me right now, and it is a journey, but this is the spiritual health piece, is that I am being like, okay, I'm going to try not to wear my watch on Sunday.
Mm.
I'm going to try to
Mhm.
have my phone around me less. I'm going to try to sit and be present and be like, okay, Lord, while I'm looking at my schedule, what do you have for me this week?
Mm.
And what is going on in Bible study? Did we end a book? And now I actually need to look at my calendar and see, like, oh, Wednesday we're starting a new Bible study. So maybe I need to go ahead and order the book on Sunday to have it in time for Wednesday. But
Yeah.
it's that intentional thought of, okay, so I see that I have the dentist appointment on Thursday. So when am I going to the gym? Because it's during my normal gym time. So I'm writing in the calendar all the things that I want to prioritize that week in mind, body, and spirit health. So that means the workouts, that means the meal plans, that means the Bible study. And then for Eric and I, we do try to do a date night
Yeah.
every other week. So it's like, okay, I'm going to text the babysitter today and all those things. And then for some of your people who might be listening to this, where I was talking about earlier, like friendship is so important to me. And
Yeah.
as moms, we just get so busy that I've started to be like, okay, I'm going to try to at least once a month get together with a girlfriend for lunch or coffee or something like
Yeah.
that. So if I didn't sit down though and make that intentional time during the Sunday reset, I just think it wouldn't happen because
So true.
so
Yeah.
busy. I
It's so
mean, we all
true.
are. It's crazy.
And I feel like as moms, we a lot of times it's easier just to put everybody else first and we're last.
Exactly. Yes, 100%.
And
And
it's
I
not that
always,
it feels good to do that. It's just that's what happens. We're caretakers and yeah.
yes, exactly. And I always think about that Bible verse that says, it's like you shall love the Lord your God. Oh my gosh, I'm butchering it now, but it's like and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I don't put my own oxygen mask on first, I can't love my neighbor or my husband or my kids or whoever or my church or my community the way that he calls me to, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, and then the other thing that I've been learning recently a lot about Sabbath, Catherine, as a way to refuel is figuring out what do you do for work during the week and how can you do the opposite on your Sabbath to refuel?
Mhm.
So, like for me, I am on my devices a lot. I'm answering emails. I'm on Instagram. I'm, doing all these things that are on the computer. And so for me, that means like I need to be outside. I need to be getting the
Yeah.
sunlight. I need to be
Hmm.
gardening or doing something with my hands, something creative, something like with the Lord in tune. But then for my husband, who's on his feet all day at the hospital and with people all day and like draining his battery that way, he's like, well, I just need to sit on the couch and like relax, you know?
Right.
So I think it's learning how you need to be refueled doing the opposite of what you do for work to
Yeah.
Sabbath with the Lord and be present.
And it's hard because you're doing that all day, every day during the week, and then switching gears. Weekends are, I feel like, are just tough because they're different and there are less days in the weekend than during the week. Is your off? Are you at home? Is your office at home or are
Mhm.
you? Yeah.
You're looking at it.
It's
This
cute
is
and
it.
beautiful. Mine's blurred out because it's just really pretty back there with kids' toys and Barbie houses.
Well, you do have this little one window. I'm like, you don't want to look that way. It's like the whole office exploded that way.
We all have those areas.
Areas.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
Sabbathing
oh,
and
thank you.
like doing the opposite in the short weekends.
Oh, right, right, right. I feel like working from home, it's even during the week, like breaking out of just staring at a computer screen, like just getting one more thing done, and then I'll go walk or get out in the sunlight. But it's so easy to, for me at least, to just push off and push away and just getting all my stuff done that I need to get done. But once I actually peel myself away and get outside into the sunlight, it's like, oh my gosh, why did I wait? Why did I skip it? Or why, you know, X, Y, or Z.
Yes. Yes. And actually, Catherine, when you were talking earlier about setting an alarm for your supplements, I was like, I need to start doing that to walk outside and
Yes.
get sunlight because I feel like that's just so important. And for those of us that do work either in office jobs or online a lot with clients or whatever, it's like the day can just run and you're all of a sudden you're like, wait, I've been sitting on my booty for 5 hours now and not seen the light of day.
Hmm. Even if we have windows, I gotta plug
Yes,
in my computer.
yes. So anyway, then that kind of I feel like that was a long-winded approach to basically saying the Sunday reset is what is my literal saving grace every single week. And
Yeah.
so once I kind of get all those things lined up for the week, then it's like I'm afraid that, by Tuesday night, I'm going to forget what's coming on Wednesday. So it's almost like I do a mini reset before I go
Yeah.
to bed each night. And I just open up my calendar and I'm like, oh, right. I'm not going to the gym at 8:30 tomorrow because I have the dentist appointment. So I put the gym in my calendar at 10:30 instead. So, like, do I need to pack now like a gym bag or something to go, to and from? So the mini reset each night, I realized I need it because my mom brain can't remember what I did on Sunday.
Sure. Yeah, I think we all do, whether it's a mom brain or brain fog from chronic illness and all the things. Um, I thought of
Yes.
another question for like the single mamas out there.
Y'all are
Like
rock stars. Rock stars.
thank you. Every mom is. Every mom is no matter what, I feel
True.
like.
True.
But I assume you do all this on Sunday and then the mini resets throughout the week. But are there any tips you can think of, you know, if it's Sunday, the kids will be at home and trying to reset ourselves, but the kids are here and there and there are loud noises and whatnot. It's hard to focus if we don't have that extra set of hands. Any tips come to mind, especially for the meal planning and scheduling and things like that?
Yeah, for
That a
sure.
is
For
that an on
sure.
the spot stressful question? You think about it.
No, no, no. I'm like, if I didn't know how to do this, it would be literal game over. Okay. So remind me how old your kids are, Catherine?
8 and 10.
8 and 10. Okay. So, and like I said, mine are 9 and 6. So I will say that even though my kids are 9 and 6, I'm not afraid to say, because a lot of times it is like, we have to get work done during the day when my spouse isn't here or whatever either. I'm not afraid to still say, okay, well, it's quiet time. So everybody go to your room
Yeah.
and you can build, you can read, you can lay down and rest if you'd like to. You can do whatever you want to do, but it is quiet time. So
Yeah.
if it's loud in your room, that's not okay right now during this time. And I tell them like it's going to be an hour or it's going to be 2 hours or whatever it is that I need. Because to your point, when it is just you at home with the kids, it's like it's impossible. If they're
It
out
feels
and
that
like
way
there's
sometimes.
Nerf guns flying by your head. I mean, all the things. So it's either that or, and sometimes I actually, Catherine, I realized that I almost wish my parents would have forced me to do quiet times at home because
Hmm.
I don't know how to reset now myself without a struggle. Like
Hmm.
it is
Yeah.
really hard for me to sit down and just be still.
Hmm.
And I've realized that that is a major weakness of mine. And unfortunately, I think it's a major weakness in our current culture because we're
Sure.
always like on our phones and there's always something to entertain you or what have you.
Ah,
So
yeah.
a large part of the Sunday reset for me is that forcing myself to like sit still. And I usually do it in my sauna now sometimes. And like
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, Lord, like what went well last week? What was I struggling with? Why was I struggling with that? Can you help me as I think through this week? All those kind of things. But I can't do that if my kids are running everywhere and things are
Right.
nuts. So yeah, I think not being afraid to send your kids outside if they're old enough, like, hey, you got to go outside and play right now while mommy is working on this, or to go to their room for quiet time because you're actually doing them a favor, even though they're gonna fuss about it. You're training them a life skill that a lot of other kids won't have.
Yes. Very, very good point. Yeah,
I'm like, are you
totally.
good at it, Catherine? Do you
I
have any
think that's
tips for
great.
me on that?
On what? On which
On how
part?
to be still and like how
Uh,
to like,
I'm not very good at it,
yeah.
but I think I'm on screens, all the time, most of the day. I should follow what you do on Sundays because that being on those screens and that blue light, you're off of it, but you're wired. Like, so it
Yes.
makes me at least, it's hard to sit still and just, I mean, calm the nervous system and things like that. That's another thing this might be helpful to set, speaking of setting alarms, to remind yourself like at least 3 times a day to just stop and breathe. Like, even if it's 3 deep breaths. Once I finally do that, I'm like, oh man, like, why did I wait so long to do that? It
Yeah.
just it completely just releases, you know, tension from your body. And it's so easy. It's like,
Catherine, I just did it while you were talking. So I
just
hope your
stop for a
listeners are.
second.
Yeah, I'm
You
like,
just,
listeners, do it. She's telling you to do it now. Game changer, though. You're right.
yeah, it is.
100%.
And then after a while, you can get in habit, the habit of it. And yeah, so, I don't think it's easy for anybody, just like you said, in this day and age with technology. And I feel like also with society, where I talk about this a lot with, I don't know if you call it society or the world, just the expectation of being able to do all the things and and being expected to push through. And no matter how you're feeling, if you're running on fumes, but I still have to do this and this and this, making it more acceptable to say, hey, I'm not good. Like, I'm either whether you're not feeling well or just like, I'm not good. I'm exhausted, and making that acceptable and making it acceptable for us to rest. Like, I still struggle with it. I preach
Yeah.
preach the need,
Yeah.
but giving yourself permission to rest. A lot of times I feel like we wait till it's absolutely that's what you have to do, till you're like, I have to lay down. You don't want to get to that point. We want to prevent
Yes.
that.
Yes. One thing, Catherine, that I used to do, I kind of forgot about this. Now, we just got a sauna somewhat recently, so I feel like the sauna's kind of taking the place of it. But I
Mhm.
used to every Sunday, like my husband knew, we're putting the kids to bed at 7:45. Hopefully, they're like down and we're done by 8. And then I would just go straight to the bath because I was
Ah,
like, this
yes.
forces me just to sit here and be still and reset. And I get my magnesium soak and I light
Yes.
my therapy
Mhm.
candle, like all the
Yes.
things.
That lavender, get your essential oils.
Yes. Maybe your red
Um,
lights on you in the bath. I'm like, all the things, all the
all the
things.
things. Oh, and if they're in bed, then you can really actually like disconnect, or,
Yes,
um
absolutely.
that's great. That used to be one of my favorite things when we moved. I feel like I get in the kids tub now in this house, and I feel like my feet, I'm not very tall, but I feel like my toes are like against the against the wall, and like I'm like, and the water didn't cover me fully because the anyway.
Yes.
Um, but I'm like, this is better than nothing, but
That's right.
it's not the same. But
Yes.
I love my sauna too. That's kind of also taken the place of that bath. But I do love a bath, a
Me
tub,
too.
what I call it.
Me too. Yes. Agree.
Um, so I have one more question. I think I might kind of know this answer, but I want to know what you'll say. If there's like one or two things from your reset to prioritize, if we can't do it all, what two things would you say to
Yeah.
prioritize to help us?
Good question. For me, personally, it's the meal plan. Like if
Yep.
I don't have the meal plan, like everybody's more stressed and it's just not going to go well.
Yes.
That would be number one. And number two, I would say getting in your schedule when you're going to move your body because God designed your body to move. And
Hmm.
if you're moving your body, then you can also be simultaneously either listening to worship music or a sermon or talking to God outside in nature while you're walking. But I just think that those are such great ways that you can fuel your body from like a physiological standpoint that you're going to
Yeah.
show up in every other part of your life better. If
Yeah.
you're fueled well, you've got protein, you're eating good, and you are moving your body. Like
Yeah.
I just that's like literally how I get through every day. If those two things are not happening, Heather is unwell.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I get that. And that made me think of like being hangry, and then you just get angry with your kids, but it's not really anything that they're doing. It's because you're hangry and your blood sugar dropped and your cortisol spiked, and it just snowballs, and it's just not good.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. How would you answer that question, Catherine? What do you have to do every week to like feel your like you're coasting, you're doing better?
I would say meal planning, which is not my strong suit. That for sure would completely help my weeks go so much more smoother.
Hmm.
And quiet time. Like I used to, it's been a struggle more lately, but just getting up, spending time in the Word, whether it's like a devotion or gratitude journaling, like just 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for.
Yes.
It was, it was and should still be a non-negotiable, but it has slipped lately. But I would say well, that's two. I'm like, and movement, walking. I have no excuse. I have the walking pad, I have a treadmill, and it's springtime. So, I mean, I have weights here. There's no excuse. No excuse.
Well, you actually did bring up something that I meant to say earlier. You asked me, like, for the mom who is struggling with chronic illness and just like is really struggling to get out of the bed in the morning. What does that look like? And I never got back to that, but I think that what you just said is where I am having to retrain my brain in hard and busy seasons. Also, is the moment that I wake up and the alarm goes off, and I'm not a morning person, y'all, and I'm like, ugh, I'm so tired. I just want to go back to sleep. But in my brain, I'm starting to get back in the habit of it. I've been out of the habit for a long time, but I'm starting to go, okay, Lord, good morning. What are the two things that I'm thankful for this morning? And it's like
Mm,
I'm just that's how I'm starting my day. And I feel like that immediately, to your point with the thankfulness or gratitude journal, it does something in your brain where you are literally setting yourself up for success for the day.
yeah.
And so if you're alive and you're breathing, what you have to be grateful for is that there's breath in your lungs. And
Yep.
you have to be grateful for that you have a savior that loves you, if nothing else. If everything else is crap in your life right now, and sometimes we have those seasons,
Sure.
he's our sustainer, and you have those two things to be grateful for every single morning. So I'd encourage you to don't forget about that gratitude practice because he gave it to us for a reason,
Absolutely.
you know?
That's right. And there's no room for anxiety in in a body and mind that's grateful.
Yes.
I'm
So
like, I
powerful.
heard that somewhere, but it's true.
It is true. It is true.
No, I think it was a worship song and like a live something that I was listening to and she said something along those lines. Now it's gonna drive me crazy. Maybe it was gratitude. Maybe I'm like, is that the song? Anyway, I'm like, I'll look it up and I'm gonna send it to you because it's one of my favorites.
Yes. Well, I've heard that before, that you cannot hold a thought of anxiety and gratitude at the same time. It's almost like
Right.
physiologically impossible or something. It's like,
Yeah.
how cool, God, that you gave us that tool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay. So we're coming to the end. I'm sad. This has been so fun. Like,
It has been so fun.
can we do this every week? I mean, we don't have to record it, but I mean,
Let's
just,
chat.
just have a little chat.
That's right.
But I've loved this. I have loved you. You're such a bright light.
Thank you
And
for saying that.
yes,
Very kind.
you are. And so I want to know, okay, few things. Any tips that you want to leave with the listeners that we haven't touched on, or even that we have that you really want to like hammer home? And then also, I want you to let people know where they can find you and all the fun things you have to offer. Anything you want to include there.
For sure. I mean, the thing that the Lord's been working on my heart the most recently is, like I talked about earlier, is Sabbathing and figuring out what that looks like in this season of life with kids at this age. So I want to encourage you with that same challenge. What does it look like for you to Sabbath if you're listening to this?
Mm-hmm.
And number two, the Lord has really been showing to me how important it is that we know our purpose.
Mm,
And if you are alive and you are breathing, God has a calling on your life and you are special, and he has something bigger for you to do that is outside of yourself, people for you to help, people for you to encourage. And I just think that this culture is so like dopamine driven, and we're on our phones and on our devices all the time, but don't allow those things to distract you from the bigger calling on your life.
mm,
And there's so much joy that's found in purpose. And so even if you just get up tomorrow morning and maybe you are really in chronic pain and you're struggling, my challenge to you would be, number one, what are two things that you're grateful for? And number two, I always tell my boys, kindness is your superpower. So who is someone that you can use that superpower for today?
I love
So
that.
if you guys can think about that, then I think that you're going to make a difference in someone's life today. And that is huge. So
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, of course. And then you guys can find me on Healthy by Heather Brown. I run a podcast called Healthy by Heather Brown every Tuesday. It's about mind, body, and spirit health. And then Instagram is where I'm at every single day, Healthy by Heather Brown. You can slide my DMs, say hey. Katherine and I are always like on Instagram and talking about whatever the latest conspiracy theory or like fun, cool new health thing that's coming out. And so if you get on my broadcast channel, it's called Girl Gang Besties. It's a hoot and a half in there. And I just love hearing
It
people's
is.
thoughts on like, what's up with the fluoride in our water and what's going on with, why are they pushing GLP-1s on our kids and just like all the things that's happening that you're like, this isn't biblical. It feels wrong. I know it's wrong. Let's discuss. Like we do
Right.
that on there and it's so fun. So y'all come join me.
It is fun and it's a great place to have conversation and just like real conversation. I'm
Yes.
not always in there in the broadcast, but it always pops up in the things that I see. I think they're great.
Thank you so much. So yeah, y'all check it out. And then Katherine, I'll send you my meal planning ebooks.
Do
And
it.
then I'll also send you, I have free meal plans that I've written out if you don't know where to start that I can send to Katherine to go in the show notes. And then last but
Perfect.
not least, I just did this summer survival guide for moms where I
Ooh.
walk you through what the summer Sunday reset looks like for me as a season. And
Oh,
that's
yes.
free. It's like 10 pages. It's really good, like step by step helpful things that I'm like, I wish someone would have given me this. So you're welcome.
Yes. I can't wait. I can't wait. Do
So
you, this
good.
is one last minute question. For during summer and things like that, like, do you stop recording podcasts? Do you take a break from that? Like, do you slow down during the summer and then ramp back up different things?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in Q4, for anyone in the marketing and advertising industry, it's like, I mean, I'm working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks, especially around like Black Friday and Cyber Week, which has now become Cyber Month. That's so stupid. Um, but yes, in the summer, I take a break and I typically am not recording podcasts and I'm trying to be really present with the kids and I'm trying to work like 15 hours max a week, if at all possible.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. I mean, that's one of the main reasons that I want to be an entrepreneur is because I get to go on the field trips with my kids like I did today or work
Yeah.
less in the summers and Christmas break. So I'm really grateful for that.
Well, good. I'm glad you do that. I'm like taking notes, trying to get organized in that way and figure out what I want and need my schedule to look like too. So that is helpful. Thank you for
Absolutely.
everything. This
Yeah,
has
girl.
been amazing.
I'm like, text me if you have questions. I'll encourage you to do less work.
I will. I will. Right? That would be
Yes.
good. That would be good. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Chronic Conversations. I hope you're walking away with a little more clarity, hope, and inspiration for your healing journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Every share helps this show reach more women who deserve to feel seen, heard, and validated. And if we're not connected yet, come say hi on Instagram. I'm at Call Me Katherine Rose. Plus, you can check out free tools and resources for your wellness journey anytime at callmekatherinerose.com. And until next time, take care. And here's to thriving well, no matter where you are on your journey.